On November 2nd, 2018, I drove to the Presbyterian Church of Chestnut Hill for the opening of the second annual Souls Shot, Portraits of Victims of Gun Violence. Curator and director Laura Madeline wrote, "Sadly, the exhibition represents only a small fraction of those affected by the epidemic of gun violence. The artists participating in this project were randomly paired with the families and friends of victims, or in some cases, artists already had personal connections with victims. The artists set out to illuminate the lives of these victims. The varied approaches and mediums is a fitting testament to the unique qualities of each of the souls portrayed. Families of the victims constantly face questions and comments about their loved ones, mostly about the circumstances of the gun violence. We seek to focus on the lives that were lived before that split-second, unacceptable, bad decision was made by the shooter."
My name is Cherie Ryans. My son was murdered September the 2nd, 1990. Leaving the movie theater, mistaken identity. Him and his best friend were murdered. I'm honored to have Anna do the portrait of him. It just keeps him alive. When I see that, it just keeps him alive.
He looks like he would have been a very likable guy.
It was likable. It's funny you use that word because that's the same word Anna used in the bio. He is very likable, very friendly. You know, a nice
Looks
guy.
like he had a good sense of humor.
You pinned it, so that means you did a good job, and you did an excellent job for somebody to pick that out.
I'm Anna Kosher. I'm the artist, and Cherie was so kind and gracious to tell me the story of her son, and I'm a parent of 3 myself, so it's not difficult to imagine what that would be like on a mother and on a family. And she did such a good job just describing her son and the light that he had inside of him and how well liked he was by everybody in the neighborhood and how his future was ahead of him. He was a college student.
It never goes away. He's forever in my heart. I carried him for 9 months. He was a part of me, so the years do not take away that love. It never can take away that love.
It just never should have happened.
My name's Joe Brenman. This group is going to be showing at my synagogue the next show around, and when I talked to Laura, she said she still needed more artists. So I said I would try to do one of the pieces.
It's really nice.
And I got to meet Eric's mother, Darnetta. She's just an incredibly inspiring, wonderful woman that works really hard to end gun violence. Works with children, and is just an amazing person.
My name's Darnetta Green Mason. My son was Dwayne Eric Green. He was murdered on March 31st, 2007. And since that time, I've been a member of an organization called Mothers in Charge. And the mission that we are on is to try to prevent any other families from having to go through the trauma that we suffer at the loss of our children. And meeting Joe and having this portrait done, it's just beautiful and it's so uplifting. It's just so many mothers and families that are going through the same thing. It's been 11 years, but the pain is always there.
I'm Ann Price Hartzell. I did the portrait of Charles Johnson. I knew Movita from last year. I did a portrait for her sister of her cousin who was murdered. And I have grown closer and closer to Movita. She actually asked me to do that portrait for her.
So a lot of you already know me. My name is Movita Johnson Corral. I've been exposed to gun violence my entire life. My father was murdered in front of me and my family, Easter 1975. And then many years later, July 1st, 1991, my only brother was murdered over a girl. And my family again attempted to pick up their lives and move on as best they can. But when I had children, I became very hyper vigilant about protecting my children from the violence. So I went about the business of raising my family and trying to raise the best young people I possibly could. And in the summer of 2007, my children were 14, 15, 16, and 20. And they came to me and they said, "Mom, we know 9 boys murdered in this neighborhood." And after I sat and I attempted to console my sons and I listened to them and I let them vent their anger and their sadness, when they left my room, I turned to my husband and I said, "It's time to go." And on January 15, 2008, I packed my family up and moved them to Lansdowne, Delaware County, a 20-block radius, dry town. Everybody knows everybody's dog's name. And I thought we were safe. And on January 13, 2011, my son went up to Germantown to pick up his sister to make sure she was safe. And 2 boys with semi-automatic weapons put 4 bullets in my son. He was 18 years old. My son didn't even know these people. They shot the wrong person. That did not make me or my family feel any better. On January 15, 2011, 3 years to the day I left Philadelphia, I buried Charles Johnson. So what I tell people is you cannot move away from this problem.
Lisa Dominic, I did a portrait of Paul Dominic, my father-in-law, peace officer here in the city for 42 years all told, shot while he was on duty and had a very long recovery and decided to go back and work to continue to serve because he felt like he had a second chance and he knows so many people don't. So this was kind of a very personal piece for me because we're a family and we have the collage effect of all the clippings that were saved from that time.
Was he embittered by it, or?
No, he understood. He understood. He was caught in crossfire. It was friendly fire. They were in pursuit of someone, part of the job, and part of the risk that the policemen take every day.
I'm Helen Mangelsdorf, and I painted a portrait of Brandon Lamar Baylor, the only son of Micaiah Capers. She was 14 when he was born, and they were always close. He was 27 when he died. He had 2 children of his own and one that he had lost. I worked on the painting from a photograph, of course, but I wanted to have a way for Micaiah and her family to be involved, so the back panel is a collage of photographs of him. I went up to their house and I worked with Micaiah and her daughter Trinity and Micaiah's husband Will, and we put the collage together. So they were part of making the piece, which I felt was really important, and it was a really amazing experience.
My name is Lorraine Hall, better known as Miss Didi. Peter LaCourt was my younger brother, and he was killed 27 years ago. And it feels like it was just yesterday. And this is the first time I'm coming to this gathering, and to see his face up there is hard.
So it never really goes away?
Ever.
Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. I don't think the people who do this have any idea of
the impact, but I love it because this is wonderful. What they did is wonderful.
Yeah, this is a beautiful show.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to me, and good luck.
Thank you.
My name is Andre McCleary. This is Azalea Washington, and this is Gregory Washington. My daughter, her mother was killed in 2009 to gun violence, unfortunately. It's been a traumatic episode ever since then. My granddaughter, unfortunately, didn't get a chance to spend much time with her mother.
I guess you were a baby, or?
I was 2.
2.
Her grandmother, my wife, took it upon herself to do an organization called Moms Bonded by Grief. And what she does now is she go around and she actually help other parents who have lost their loved ones, and she give them support. And it helps her with her grieving process. We all understand that the grieving process is something that you're unprepared for because there's no instructions that comes with that. So we just do the best that we can do with what we have.
It must have been the worst day of your life.
It was the worst day of my life. Yes, it has been. I think we all looked at that experience as one of the worst days of all of our lives.
Hi, I'm Marie Bender, and I did this painting of Javon Mitchell Pendleton, who was shot at 20 years of age. Back in May, I got to meet his mom, and we spent some time together, and I got to find out just what an amazing young man he was and everything he was striving for. He was in college. He had just gotten hired by the water department, and life was just being celebrated all around when he and his friend were both gunned down. Felicia's courage and grace, I think, was the thing, that really affected me the most, that she was able to still get up and move on, and instead of letting this take her down, she really let it help her to get active in what was happening with the anti-gun movement.
I'm Melissa Joseph, and I'm an artist with the Soul Shot Portrait Project. My work as an artist is socially based. In some of my other projects, I was thinking about the Philadelphia community and how it's affected by gun violence. So someone sent me a link to this, and I met Victoria.
I'm Victoria Wiley. I'm the sister of Dante Wiley, who was murdered on June 17, 2008. Dante was a father of one. He had a baby girl, Dion Wiley. He was a brother and a son and a cousin, a nephew, a grandson. He was loved by so many.
So you guys were really close?
That was my best friend. That was my best. I followed behind him. I wanted, to be with my brother. I'm the only girl of 8, so I wanted to be with my brother all the time. I think for a long time you don't think it's real. You tell yourself like, oh, he's away, he's on vacation, oh, he's gonna come back later.
The stakes were very high. It was an honor to be a part of the project, and it was a really moving experience to get to meet the family and to work on this portrait. And I just, in the end, hope it's something that they will really relate to.
I'm very grateful and appreciative that artists from our city have donated their time to memorialize violence victims. I'm just very appreciative and grateful for it.
I'm Sonia Dixon. This is my grandson, Zaki Yasir Alfred. I love Zaki. My life will never be the same. I always wonder, had he still been here, how far would he have made it? Because he wanted to be a cook. His passion was cooking. And that's why you see the food on his portrait, because he had a passion for cooking. So he's cooking in heaven.
Thank you very much. I'm really, really sorry for that.
People will be glad to collect donations. This church has been a helpful supporter of Soul Shock, but more funds are always needed for the work that's done and for the traveling of the exhibition and Heeding God's Call as well. So the donations that you give are divided between Heeding God's Call and Soul Shock, and will make the work of combating gun violence and evil of the world possible. So if you can give generously, we will appreciate it. And of course the catalogs with all the pictures and the information about the portraits that are up are available for sale. Speaking of the portraits, one of the most gorgeous is up on the wall, and we are fortunate in this case that the person whose portrait is there is with us tonight and will be able to tell us her story. So please welcome Dion Santiago.
I'm a little short, sorry. Hi, my name is Dion Santiago. I am 16, and I will be telling you why I'm here and a little bit about how gun violence affected me. My mentor, Lauren, asked if she could paint me and asked if I was willing to tell my story. If you see in the painting, there are 16 flowers, which represent my age, and you see me and my scar on my stomach. When I was 13, I was at my father's house, and I was shot. It was Memorial Day weekend. I was outside on the steps, and two men came running by and shot me. At first, I didn't realize that I was hurt or what was even happening. My parents called me to come inside. As I sat down, I began to feel dizzy. I told my father I thought I had gotten shot, but he didn't want to believe me. As I took my hand off my right side, he saw the blood and began to panic. I know it was hard to believe because no one ever wants to hear that this happened to their child. At this point, my friend was applying pressure on my side until the cops came. The cop car arrived and my dad put me in the trunk, and the officer began asking me questions. What's your name? What's your age? Do you know who this is? I'm just like, yeah, that's my father. I arrived to the hospital and they took me into surgery immediately. The surgery took about 7 to 8 hours. They said I wasn't supposed to make it because I was losing too much blood. About 8 months go by and I had about 9 surgeries. Being in the hospital for so long, it gets frustrating. Exercising with an open stomach and singing my lungs out every time I needed a vac change. I got better, then I went to rehab. About a month went by and I ended up back in the hospital. You begin to think, are you really getting better or are people just saying that to make you feel better? Thinking back, I thank God to show me that I had that much strength to get through what happened. Still today, I have constant hospital visits and restroom problems. I am currently not in school because I have stomach problems and I suffer from depression. I don't feel as confident now as before, and there are days where I just get up, I don't eat, and there are days where I just lay in bed. I wanted to share this because I know the struggle, and I say it's okay to feel weak. It's a lot to take in for a person. I am so grateful to families that came to mind for advice when someone has been shot. Also for the support that people should be helping each other and not making every day a competition. I hope laws can be changed so no one has to experience losing a loved one or fighting for their life due to guns. I want to thank my mom, my sisters, my brothers, my friends for supporting me through it all and being here today. You guys will always remember that the fire in oneself will always burn brighter than the fire around that tries to break us down. Feel free to ask me questions, take pictures, ask me what happened, and I'll sit right there. Thank you.
My last poem tonight, I don't have a title for it yet, but it deals with so much of the sentiment of tonight. And I just want to thank y'all in advance because this is such a heavy topic and so much is counting on us taking action on Tuesday, us making sure that our voices are heard, and us changing things. Tears make up the faces of those the morning after that see the sunset on a garden full of roses that grew from the concrete, that leave petals on the pavement. We are who we are is the church, so we lead in prayer that we can bulletproof all our people while laws allow access to bullets that can pierce through bulletproof vests. We walk around like vets with PTSD because there's more gun violence here than any other war. This is for those that understand easy access, likelihood of violence, and close vicinity leads to so much loss. As any woman that has survived an abusive relationship, or those that had a temporary crisis, that was grateful that they didn't have easy access to put their hands around a trigger instead of holding a hand of someone that cares to tell them why they're living and what they have to live for. This is for those that understand. It's not about just having too much crime, but how lethal the crime is. Because you're likely to lose your belongings in your life. At the same time, there's so much loss. That's why we have the hashtags, the tattoos, the shirts in memory of the loss. We have got so used to the loss, that we have lost ourselves only to find ourselves losing more. And it's not a question of do we have the answers. It's more so, can we be the resolve? To look at the garden full of roses as much as we look at this art on the wall. Thank you. Thank y'all so much for listening. I really appreciate everybody's story. It hit me so hard, just going around the room, seeing the paintings, feeling the heartbeats, and knowing that everybody's here for a common goal. And I hope you make that presence heard on Tuesday, because it's so important. It's very, very important that we vote. Thank you. Thank you.
Laura Madeline wrote, "These people did not deserve the consequences of that devastating choice. These people were and are more than numbers." This catalog represents the commitment of all involved in the Soul Shot Portrait Project. We will continue to bring to the public intimate glimpses into the lives cut short by gun violence, to raise awareness of the terrible cost to our communities, to touch hearts and minds. On behalf of all those who participated in creating this exhibition, we hope you will be moved by the images and that you will get to know the depth of these unique human beings, our fellow souls.